my first Halloween at ECU. I had a lot of friends coming in from out of town. We'd always heard that it was like such a big deal here, and there was always a huge crowd. So I had some friends from high school who were coming to stay with me. It was my first semester living in the dorms over at Fletcher Hall, and I'd been working on my costume all week. It was a cute little fairy costume with glitter, and I was so excited about wearing it. I couldn't wait to get downtown and show it off. I had to get one of my friends who stayed in the apartments to come and get me some liquor for the night, and he was running late, of course, so we were all just waiting around for him to get there. And finally, when he arrived, I decided I'd ride with him to the liquor store. And by the time I finally made it back to Fletcher Hall, my room was packed full of people waiting to go downtown. And we all just began drinking and taking shots and just, you know, really throwing down, getting ready to go out. Me and my friends all decided to go ahead and head downtown. We got there and the crowd was just huge, like nothing I'd ever seen before. I mean, there were costumes everywhere, just wall-to-wall people. And we were having fun, just carrying on, talking to all of our friends. And we all had like airplane bottles in our jackets, and we were just roaming the streets. And finally, one of my friends was really, really sick, and she asked if she could have my keys to go back to the dorm because I definitely was not leaving yet. And so I gave her my keys, and her and one of my other friends headed back to the dorm, and the rest of us just kind of stayed and hung out some more. And another hour or so went by, and everyone else was kind of getting tired and just ready to leave, but I was not ready to leave. The party was not going to stop for me. So I managed to somehow stumble back to my dorm, where I got to the door and realized, I have no keys because I gave them to my drunk friend earlier. So I sat there and attempted to call everyone I knew, you know, just hoping someone would come down and let me up to my room. But of course, you know, no one answered because they were all passed out. And so as I sit there just continuing to call them and not get any answer, apparently I passed out down in what used to be the amphitheater, which is now where the new dining hall is. I mean, I just sat down on the bench and kept calling and eventually just passed out there. I don't know how long I was passed out, but it couldn't have been long. I woke myself up throwing up beside the bench where I had passed out. And it wasn't too long before a bright light was shined in my face. To my surprise, a campus police officer was standing right over me. He asked me where I lived, and I, you know, just drunkenly pointed over to Fletcher, and I tried to explain to him, you know, that's where I live, I don't have my keys. And he eventually got me up and helped me back to the hall. I thought the police officer was taking me back to my dorm, but little did I know he was taking me to the hall coordinator's office. There I was, standing in her doorway, one little fairy wing, you know, still intact, the other God knows where. I was missing my shoes, just, you know, terrible makeup and glitter smeared all over my face, you know, smelling like vomit. And you could tell she was not too pleased with me, but at the same time, she was a little amused, just, you know, staring there looking at me in such a state. Finally, she was like, you know, just go back to your room. And she let me up to the elevator, and I got on the elevator and made my way back up to the 3rd floor to my room, and immediately realized I wasn't gonna make it. I ripped my one wing off and just threw it on the floor and ran to the bathroom, where I continued to throw up until I eventually passed out. And the next morning, my friends followed the trail of glitter to the bathroom, where I had locked myself inside of a stall, and they dragged me out from underneath the door and put me back in my bed.
My friends had come into town. There's Matt and Kyle and a couple of his buds, and you know, he had been talking a while about citric acid. And I knew he had some on him. Jason was there, and he's always been kind of a bigger brother toward me. He paid my $10 to get in because I was under 21. I couldn't get into that club. But I was really hoping that he actually would give me some acid. So I'm drinking at the bar with Danielle and Ashley, and I see Jason and his friend just kind of wander off outside. And I mean, I knew they were up to no good, so I followed them. I mean, I wanted in. So I'm sitting in this car with Jason and his friend, and it's hot, and it's raining outside. And the whole car is steamed up. I mean, like we were making out back there, but we weren't. Um, and they were like, "Oh, let's do some more." So Jason pulled out this bag. It was like with like postage stamps, and had all these kind of weird designs printed on them. And he broke off a stamp and put it under his tongue. And his friend took one, and they just started giggling. And I wanted some so badly by now. I couldn't ask. I wasn't gonna ask for drugs. You can't do that. But thankfully, I mean, Jason looked over. I guess he saw it in my eyes, and he handed it to me, and it was like he gave me this pink stamp that had this alien on it, and I put it under my tongue, and I thought, good God, there's no turning back now. It was like, shortly thereafter, Jason just started rambling on and on about Gone in 60 Seconds. Like, yeah, I've never seen the movie, and I had no desire. But he's like, there's this one scene that's so perfect, and the colors are amazing. And I thought, well, okay. So we left the bar, and by the time I got back to Jason's house, it had been about an hour and a half, and I wasn't feeling anything. Maybe the stuff was bad. Maybe that's why I was free. But it just, wasn't feeling anything. And it's about now that it really started kicking in, like, full force. Like, my beard kind of got up and moved slightly to the left and sat back down again. And I was like, whoa. So I went to the bathroom. I didn't want to be quite so obvious about it when I first wanted to enjoy it. This time, just dripping off like a Salvador Dali painting. Just this infinite drip of my face running down my neck. It's pretty cool. I tried to push it back up and try to get to stay there, but it wouldn't. Just ran off, and it kind of spilled onto the floor. It was really bizarre, and I started freaking out. And they're like, "Oh, relax, it's just acid." And I'm saying, "It's just acid." And I'm like, it's melting my brain. And I couldn't hang out in there anymore. I had to get outside. So my mind's like blown. And then like felt this gust of wind. I was sort of like back in my body again, and I felt this presence. It was like it was there, but it was like in me too. Like I knew someone was there, but at the same time I knew like it was me. Like I was feeling myself, like behind myself. And this face kind of came at me, and it was blue and it was solid, and it didn't speak, but I could hear it talking, like it's like telepathic in my head. And it was like, relax, don't worry, this was meant to be. You are the one. And I was like, whoa.